Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm Derek Mad Dog Master.
This
I
is
didn't know if you were there for a minute.
This is Green Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and then talk about Derek's ridiculous nicknames that he gives himself. Mad Dog.
I have a very calm
Biff.
external, but inside, I'm a raging bull.
Mad Dog Tannen. How are you guys doing tonight?
Trying to get my... There we go.
I'm doing great.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Just sorry. It's technical difficulties.
How are you guys doing tonight is what I asked.
Doing good. I just watched the movie for the second time today, and then I just started watching Birdemic while I was eating dinner. So
for the second time,
in a great mood.
You watched it twice today?
Yeah, I watched it twice.
Nice. Friday
there were parts
13th
of the movie I watched twice today.
I bet there is, you son of a bitch. Do they involve Terry? I'm just asking.
No. No. Of course not.
We're going to start calling you Scott. That's what we're going to call you from now on.
Oh, man.
So, guys, I've got some horror news for us here. More than last week, and I'm excited to get your guys' take on some of these, because there's some interesting stuff here. So let's get into it with the horror news. So first up, I'll start with the smaller stuff. Lydia, you'll like this. Trick or Treat has made a Christopher Lee as Dracula and Frankenstein figure. Would you like to see this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew you'd like this.
Let me get the screen. There we go.
Right. Look at that.
Oh.
Ooh, look at that Frankenstein.
I'm not going to lie, he looks like a monk from that tiny little picture.
He looked like what?
A monk?
That's how he looks, man. We'll have to do the hammer
at all?
Huh?
It doesn't matter. It's a tiny little window. That's why I can't see it very well, but that's okay.
How about that?
Aha, there you go. Yep, still looks like a monk.
Oh, good God. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that? I know you'd be excited about it, Lydia.
Yep. If somebody would just get me them for Christmas, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Now we know what to get you.
Somebody please tell Santa Claus.
I actually saw, I didn't pull it up here, but Trick or Treat is also releasing a Dr. Loomis figure this year.
Oh.
Nice.
And it looks just like him. It's beautiful. Actually, I'll drop a link of it right here. But it's beautiful. Love it. So, guys.
You know what I wish that they would make? I wish they would make a Frankenstein action figure from the Monster Squad.
Oh, that would be pretty cool. Yeah.
That's
bogus. That's a good Dracula, too.
It is a good Dracula.
Monster Squad has a good Dracula. The only thing that looks weird is the Wolfman. He's kind of weird looking.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The creature from the Black Lagoon is the one who looks weird.
No, he looks phenomenal. Looks great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Lydia and I are both drinking out of our SBM mugs. Order now.
Mine is actually still in its box, wrapped up.
Because of your fear of it breaking like the first one did?
Well, our house is going to be done by around the end of the month. So I'm waiting to christen it with the
Nice. Look at that.
Scream Bloody Movies mug.
You can order it on the link on the bottom of the screen.
And until then, It matches my shirt.
Yeah, you can't even tell you're drinking anything. Did you pull that out of your shirt?
Yep, they call me Houdini too.
Idiots. Okay, guys. This next bit is exciting news for me, especially. Scream Factory has announced that they are going to release a 4K version of John Carpenter's Escape from New York.
Mm.
So it's coming onto 4K. And it has this great collector's edition. So it has 4K restoration by Studio Canal, audio commentary by John and Kurt, audio commentary with Deborah Hill and Joe Alves, audio commentary with Adrian Barbeau and Dean Cundy. The Blu-ray is also a 4K restoration. And then it has a third disc full of all special features. And it has a limited edition box set that comes with a vinyl, a poster, and a couple of pins as well. That'd be great to see in 4K, right? I mean, that's a fantastic movie.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Escape from New York? Oh, man. It's a great one, isn't it, Derek?
Yeah, it's got Snake.
Snake Plissken. Love it. So now we're getting into the good stuff. Guys, so this first one. One of the writers from the new Scream movie, Guy Busick, did an interview recently, and he says that the next projects he wants to take are, he would love to write a new version of A Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. He would also want to do, he is currently working on Final Destination Part 6. So he's the writer that also wrote Ready or Not. The new Scream movie is directed by Radio Silence and written by this guy, who's the same writer-director team from Ready or Not. Would you feel like a Nightmare movie would be good in Radio Silence's hands?
No.
Why not?
It's our project.
Oh, okay.
Okay. When you said that, I was like, yeah, wouldn't we all love to do that?
Yeah.
Well, no, Jamie and I started doing an outline.
Yeah, I think.
Nightmare
We do have an
movie.
outline for a Nightmare movie if you want to hit us up for it. But yes, I think they would be a great. You guys haven't seen Scream yet, have you?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, I saw it. I liked it a lot. And Wes Craven's the reason they became directors, so I think it's only appropriate that they take a crack at Freddy. I would be down.
Okay.
Now I wish.
I like Ready or Not, so.
Yeah, I did too. It was really fun. I love Samara Weaving. She's the best. So, it's looking like we might be getting a sequel to a film that we are a fan of from this podcast. It's looking more and more likely that we will be getting a sequel to Malignant.
Really?
Oh.
So there's no confirmation, but the Annabelle Wallace, who played Madison in the movie, has said that there is they've been having conversations with about a Malignant 2. And that there is some other happenings going on. So where is it? Was it say that the Digital Fix has done some digging? This is who I'm reading it from. Digital Fix. They've done some digging and has mapped out all the details about his upcoming plot. So it's not been greenlit yet, but there are conversations going because the movie, although it only grossed $34 million at the box office. It also streamed simultaneously on HBO Max, and it did big numbers there. So, would you guys be down for a sequel to Malignant?
Hell yes.
Yeah, I would. Man, they should put it in a post apocalyptic world where he has to come out to save her from like mutant bad guys. The perfect plot for that movie.
This is the worst pitch I've ever heard.
I just, off the top of my head, man, that's what I came up with.
Mad Max Malignant 2. Oh. Yeah, that's a good idea, Derek. Good.
Just ask me. I got a whole bunch up here going around.
I'm surprised you didn't say little people ran out.
That's rude, but true.
So, Lydia, what do you think of Derek's pitch?
Sorry, I had to mute myself because there was a train going by and it was really loud. But I was laughing that whole time. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. That sounds hilarious that just came out of your mouth.
Oh man,
it's such an out of the box concept where I would never guess to a post-apocalyptic scene for that.
I didn't think of that setting myself. But hey, it's a take. Definitely a take.
I think that shows where Derek's at tonight. I think that's our starting point for Derek is he's already like post-apocalyptic tonight.
Nice. All right. So now that we got that good news out of the way, guys, another long gestating sequel looks like it's on its way to happening. It's been announced that the rumor is, on the rumor mill, is that Brad Pitt's Plan B production company is on board to produce the sequel to Beetlejuice. Okay. Directed by Tim Burton, starring Michael Keaton.
Wow.
I mean, if you had it any other way, it wouldn't work. So,
no.
That's
right,
perfect.
Yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts on a Beetlejuice 2? Would you be down for that? Is there still life in Beetlejuice?
Man,
I do love Beetlejuice.
Give them $10 right now.
Yeah.
If they open up a GoFundMe, I will donate money.
Yeah, I would be 100% down. Every once in a while, a Beetlejuice 2 rumor pops up, but this is the most concrete one we've had in a while. And it's not out of the realm of possibilities, because if you piece it together, something that Michael Keaton talked about not too long ago, he said he met with Tim Burton regarding something else. Because he talked to Tim when he was approached to do The Flash. And he talked about, returning as Batman. He had conversations with Tim, but he didn't have conversations about The Flash. He just mentioned it. He said they were having conversations about another project, something else. And could this be that something else?
Mm-hmm.
The signs do point to yes.
I mean, it's a Keaton renaissance, right? I mean, he's making a comeback in a big way. Just won a SAG-AFTRA award. He won a SAG award for Dope Sick. He's returning as fucking Batman. I mean, I'm all about this year of Keaton.
I love Michael Keaton. He's so great.
Did he really go anywhere?
No, he didn't. He's constantly been working. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's constantly been working, but this is, his biggest roles he's returning to. I never in a million years thought I'd see him as Batman again. And when that was announced, I was like a fucking 9-year-old boy again. I was like dancing in the streets. I was like, Michael Keaton, that's my Batman. Kind of like I was with a certain Marvel movie this year. Like, that's my character. avoiding spoilers that everybody knows at this point. Just in case you've been living under a rock and you don't know.
I'm gonna go ahead and since I'm already on a roll tonight, I think that they should do a Multiplicity 2 long division.
Okay, I like the idea.
What do you think?
Not crazy about the subtitle. I love Multiplicity. I would totally be down with another one of those.
Dude, I like Multiplicity too.
Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, I would. Any Michael Keaton sequel, I'd be down with. Mr. Mom 2, but calling Mr. Grandpa.
Yeah.
Mr. Grandpa. Daycare. I learned how to raise my kids, but I forgot. Mr. Grandpa. Unbelievably good. Night Shift 2, where he just hangs out with Henry Winkler again.
There you go. Feel free to steal that.
Jack Frost too, where he comes back as a snowman again.
Yes, I like it. And he fights the other Jack Frost.
The one from the horror movie?
Yeah. You know that movie definitely fucked up some kids, because you know that somebody's grandma went into the video store looking for Michael Keaton's Jack Frost and accidentally rented Jack Frost, Revenge of the Killer Mutant Snowman, and then watched in horror as a snowman raped a woman in a bathtub.
Yep.
This is the movie you wanted to watch, Billy?
But man, it had the coolest cover.
Oh, the cover was so cool. Like, you turned it and he like transformed.
Yeah, it had a holographic cover.
Holographic.
Yeah, holographic. Yeah.
That was awesome.
It was a badass cover. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, I miss video stores.
Me too.
Going in and just looking at them.
VHS tapes. That sounds terrible, but
I don't. I mean, I love them, but the quality is terrible. I'd much rather watch my 4K discs.
Totally.
The smell of VHS tapes.
Yeah, there's certain things about VHS tapes I love. I mean, I have a collection of them here still. But for nostalgic purposes.
Sound.
Well, and it was
the fact that you had to just fast forward and rewind and then fix the tracking, and it sometimes eats the tapes.
Yeah.
You know what? This is gonna sound weird, but like I love like on a Friday night going to the video store and getting like 3 movies and the crazy cases that those things came in, those giant plastic things, and
big plastic guys.
Like, oh yeah.
You ordered some pizza.
That doesn't sound crazy to me. That sounds like heaven. Nothing better. Then I would rent a video game too. I'd go and rent a video game sometimes. But I'm going to go into a story that is not necessarily a tangent because it ties directly into the movie tonight. But I remember being very young and walking in the video store wanting to rent a movie. And we went to the horror section. And I specifically remember seeing the cover for Friday the 13th, Part 7, where, it has her head, half of Jason's head and everything. I remember seeing the Friday the 13th 7 and Friday 4 with the knife in the eye. And I was just like, and captured. I was like, oh my God, can we rent that? And Dad's like, no, we can't rent that. And then he's like, here's a Freddy movie. But I remember being at Video West. You remember Video West, right?
Oh my God!
I remember being at Video West. I remember being at Video West, and I'm walking along, and then they also had, this was in the Nintendo era, so they had the Nintendo games, and they had the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street games, and I rented the Nightmare on Elm Street game from there, and it was terrible. Awful game. So hard, especially when you're a kid. I was like, what is this crap? Why am I fighting bats? Where's Freddy?
Which one was Video West? Where was that located?
Video West was the one by the auto store. Yeah, off Canal. It's the mom and pop shop. That's now like that motorcycle place. Is that bike place now? It was
Dude,
like a
it had
mom
the
and pop
best
video
smell.
store.
Yeah, that's
Had
so
a
weird.
very
That it had-
distinct. I love the Video West smell. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, they used
It's
to have those little nails with the little tags.
so yeah. In order to rent a video there, you had to grab they had a plastic tag and it had the name of the game on it or whatever, and you would have to grab it off the shelf and bring it up to the guy, and then he'd give you the thing. And they were just hung up there with like rusty nails just into the thing.
All right, so picture this: like I'm like 9 or 10, and my brother and I are in Video West, and I used to take forever to pick out a movie. Right, so
Yeah, you
I'm
want to
just
get the right one.
browsing. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just browsing, and Jay is standing next to me, and there's this like random guy to my right, and, and I farted, and that guy looked down at me and he goes, "My God." And Jay shoved me as hard as he could, and I like fell into that rack of tapes, brought a whole bunch of them down, and those nails like scraped my back.
Oh my gosh.
I love the
True
fact that
story.
the guy just looks at you and says, "My God." The least surprising part of this story is that you farted.
That was the least surprising part. You're right.
Great stuff. I'm sure the audience is going to love our Prue video store stories. Welcome to
Right.
Scream Bloody Video Stores.
We could
All
do a
right,
whole
guys.
podcast on that.
Oh, yeah. Basically, we could do a whole podcast on video store memories because there's nothing like them. It's the best. Guys, speaking of video stores, let's go back to 1981 and let's revisit Camp Crystal Lake and Jason's first appearance in Steve Miner's Friday the 13th Part 2. So let's get into it. What are your guys' memories of this movie and what's your experience with it? Leah, you've seen this movie obviously before, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Nothing that really stands out though. It's just like, you put them on, you see them on Halloween, around Halloween time,
Mm-hmm.
whenever, they're just, it's just always been there for me. I don't have a good story about this.
It's like comfort.
It's like a comfort.
blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a comfort movie for sure.
Yeah.
That's why I had to watch it twice because I almost fell asleep the first time. Because I was just
Derek,
like relaxed watching it.
Dude, I know exactly what you mean. I have the same thing.
Yeah.
Derek.
These movies are more or less in syndication. I mean, especially like throughout the 90s and the early 2000s, like every Friday the 13th, it would play the entire gambit of movies. So there was plenty of opportunity to watch these. I don't remember the first time that I saw it, but rewatching it this time, there's tons of scenes that like, oh, I remember that, or I remember that. You know what I mean? So it's definitely ingrained. It was a part of the childhood.
Yeah, like you guys were talking about, I also don't remember the first time I watched this particular Friday the 13th movie. They are all, they're all encompassing, these movies. I do remember, like, what I remember most is, like, Monster Vision, watching when Joe Bob had his Friday the 13th marathon. I remember that. I remember on TNT, and I remember just, every once in a while them being on late at night on USA Network and watching these and just being spooked because I'm a little kid and I'm like, ooh, I can't, Jason's gonna be around. And I would stay the night at my friend Justin's house, and we would surf. He had satellite, and we would just surf all of the channels just to try to find a Friday the 13th movie. There's got to be one on here somewhere on one of these. So yeah, it's always. What I did find watching it this time, though, guys, is it's kind of surprising to me how much this movie influenced my filmmaking language. There are certain You notice that too?
Yep.
There are certain shots and certain beats that I like pulled from this movie, subconsciously. And I'm like, wow, there's some like kind of I can the DNA of this and John Carpenter's Halloween is definitely in our newest movie, for sure. So that's going to be fun to dig into because it's a it's an interesting one. It's a I think it's a good jumping off point for this series because I think as far as filmmaking is concerned, it's better than the first movie. I think it's a better shot and better directed movie than the first one. So we'll get into it. Um, so the movie opens with a recap because that's what these Fridays do. They open with a recap. So not much to say there. I will say, what do you guys think of Annie's outfit that she's
The
wearing?
green.
The green on green.
Green on green. Why not? Shamrock on olive or something. I don't know. It's like two different tones of dark green together.
The one green reminded me of like mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
So it looked like. And her hair's all like her hair's much longer and shaggier. So she's having her bad dream and and she wakes up out of her dream and we find out that she's living away essentially. The way the movie opens, the very first shot of the movie, I love when we get the little girl singing "Itsy Bitsy Spider," and we see her stepping in the mud puddles or the little rain puddle. And then her mom calls her in and she leaves. She stomps and leaves. And then Jason's foot steps in the frame on the mud puddle. What do you guys think of that?
I was confused. I was like, what's happening here? Who is this? What's going on? And then you realize it's a dream sequence. That is within a recap. Am I right?
No, that's just the opening. The little girl's on the street, just she's just minding her own business, and she leaves. And then Jason's walking to Annie's house. He has stalked her here.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
so it's just Jason. So it's just
I was
there
just like,
just there to build suspense. I love the way it's set up because it's.
I think what confused me is like, who is the little girl and why is she playing out in the street at night?
She's just a little girl doing what little girls did in 1981. Just playing in the rain.
Gotcha.
Derek and I are 80s babies.
It also threw me off. It also threw me off because I went to watch this movie for free on Pluto and got the dubbed version.
You got what? The dubbed version?
It was like dubbed in another language, and it took me a minute because I'm like watching it, and I'm like, "Who is this?" And then I'm like, "Why is this in another language?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's dubbed." It was like immediately just like a weird start.
Yeah, that would be confusing. I have all of these. You can just watch them from me.
I was gonna call you. But I was a little late, and I was like, for the next ones, I'm gonna have to borrow those from you.
Yeah, I have 2 different Blu-ray sets of them, and a couple DVDs. I have these movies a lot.
I ordered this movie, but it hasn't arrived yet. But I also was able to watch it on Pluto TV.
So I watched my 4K restoration Shout Factory special edition Blu-ray. You guys should get that. Great set. For the real Friday the 13th fan.
So I will say it was a fun opening, and I remember stomping through those mud puddles, and I also remember getting yelled at because when I would go in, like I was drenched. But that was a fun opening, and then that cut of Jason stepping in the frame, and I'm like, man, he must know how to use a phone book to look up where this person lives.
Jason is the world's greatest detective. It's him and Batman. So
yep, neck and neck.
neck and neck. So, yeah, I like this oneer. So, when Annie wakes up, there's a oneer that happens where she walks through the house. She talks on the phone with her mom. We find out that she's trying to piece her life back together. And then she goes into the bedroom, changes into a robe, and walks into the shower, which she's in for 35 seconds.
I know.
Less than
Yeah.
35 seconds. It's like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I guess she just wanted to refresh, but it is I love the way the shot plays out. I love the way the shot plays out, and except it's really weird that she opens. So that's a scare, as we think there's going to be the killer there, but there's not. But she looks directly into the camera, and it's really weird.
Yeah.
Other
I
than
don't know
that,
what's
the scene is
weirder,
great.
that or I don't like that or the fact that she gets in for 5 seconds and opens it back up and gets out.
Yeah. Wait, does she get out because the phone's ringing? Is that why she gets out? No, she just gets out. Would have made more sense if they would have had the phone ringing and then she had to get out.
Yeah, you know what? I bet that she was
That
going
would
to
make
be
sense.
the main character of this movie, but then whenever they did that opening scene, they're like, nope, let's get rid of her.
Nope, actually, that's not what happened. She was.
I'm just kidding.
I know it was, but she was. They asked her. They talked to her, and she had been being stalked. She had a stalker because of the first movie, like a legit stalker, and she basically didn't act for a long time after this movie. So yeah, she's like, I'll do a small part. And then they killed her off because that's what you do to survivors who don't want to be in your movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, she. What do you guys think of her death scene? Like, so she puts on she hears the cat. There's the whole kettle thing. And then she opens the fridge and there's Mrs. Voorhees' head. And she gets stabbed in the head with an ice pick, which is brutal. What do you guys think of this opening kill?
I was curious to know what you guys thought about this because I was kind of on the fence about it because of all the weird things that were happening. I feel like the scene was kind of like rushed when it was put together, maybe, or something. Like, I feel like it didn't fully make 100% sense, but it was filmed well, and like it was shocking, and it was a good death, and it was a good kill, but it was just like weird things happening, like the phone call with her mom, odd conversation, but like you said, it was like they were just trying to kill her off, probably. So I was curious what you guys thought about this.
You want to go first, Derek?
I didn't put too much thought into it until you brought that up, but it did seem pretty rushed. You're absolutely right. I mean, but other than that, I think the setup was pretty good. Jason, obviously, the lore of what he does grows beyond this movie. So, like, to see his first on-screen kill, it wasn't spectacular, but it was efficient.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one, I think. I think the kill itself is actually really good. I think that's a visceral kill. An ice pick to the temple. That's visceral. That's a good kill.
Yeah.
And it is interesting that he takes the tea kettle off. Yeah, takes the kettle off because it's whistling.
He's like, oh, no, we can't have that.
Yeah, he's like, I
Mommy
don't like that. Yeah. He's like, I don't want to burn down the house. There might be other people living here. I only want to kill who I want to kill.
There's also a cat here. Stalking this girl, walking around town with a severed head.
Well, I think he was already in there. But yeah, I liked the opening. There's some stuff in it that I really like. The reason it feels rushed is because it was. They had a day to shoot that scene. There was really it wasn't really scripted. The dialogue with her mom was improvised. But I think it's well made. I think the it's well shot, and the suspense builds when it's supposed to. I think in that oneer, the suspense builds really well. Um, and then it's an efficient kill. It's a good cold open. I think it's a good cold open. It's not the
Yeah, I
strongest
would
of
say it
the
was.
series, but it's a good cold open.
Yeah, if they would have given her a little more time in the shower scene, only because it makes absolutely no sense for her to like jump in and then jump out. I think that one little thing would have probably improved the scene quite a bit. But the oneer um, was pretty good. It was well done. I liked it.
Now I have to go back and check because if the phone rings when she's in the shower, then that makes perfect sense why she gets out of the
It
shower.
would, yeah. I don't think it did though. I could be
I know the
totally
next
wrong.
very next scene is the phone ringing her. I know for like she goes and answers the phone again, and she hears like
She
the
does, so
breathing
she
on it.
hopes. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then that makes sense, but it's
So
still
I
lacking.
have in my notes. In my notes, it says, "Phone rings, mom." And then it says, "Needs time alone." Like real
Yep,
in
that's the
quotation marks.
first time.
Needs time
Yep.
alone. And then it's the shower scene. And I
Yeah.
said,
Then there's a
quickest shower ever, lol. Phone rings again,
Yeah.
but no
So
one is there. So
yeah,
the phone does ring after she gets out of the
yeah,
shower.
yeah. So
But
maybe.
whether it's when she's in the shower or not, I don't know. I don't think it is.
Um, what do you guys think of the opening titles of this one? I love it. I
Where it
love
like
all of the Friday.
smashes,
Yeah, it explodes.
shatters. Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah, I
awesome.
love the Friday the 13th opening themes. They're so they set the tone for the movie so well. They're awesome. What the heck was that?
It was a train.
Oh, okay. Was that an
Nope, it
airplane?
wasn't.
Helicopter? Hello, copter. Okay. So
Okay,
we
I'm back.
go
Yeah, it was a helicopter.
I was like, what the fuck?
It's a
So
lifeline.
hmm. So we go from that opening to the we're introduced to Jeff and Sandra. They're driving this cool pickup truck, and they pull off to the side of the road onto this like gas station, and they go to the payphone because this is the days of payphone, and they call their buddy Ted, and they're talking to him, and he's getting directions, and in the background we see the truck being hauled onto a tow truck. They notice and they chase after the tow truck to find out that it's their buddy Ted playing a trick on him. What do you guys think of this little introduction to these characters? I think it's pretty strong for a
I do
slasher movie.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Also, it's a
Yeah, I
great
think it's
prank.
really clever and funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
great prank for sure.
It's a great prank. It
I
kind of
think
sets
they're
up. Good.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think we have a lag. We keep like interrupting each other. Um yeah, I think it's really funny like to see them as actors, like as you're like watching this and seeing their acting, they like when they're standing together, none of them stop moving. Like they're all just like yeah, and they're like touching each other, hugging each other, and like they're just like not it's like I don't know. I was like, I literally wrote down, I can't tell if this is just the acting or if this is just how people were in the 80s.
It's how they were, man. It's all that booger snow.
Yeah, yeah.
That sugar booger. Booger sugar.
I've never heard it referred to as that. That's hilarious.
Okay, you guys
They
want
just
to go
are
hit a
like-
discotheque?
I did have a observation. It was more. This is gonna sound weird. The body types of these actors, like
hmm
just different. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, natural,
It was,
natural. Yeah,
yeah, very natural.
natural body type.
Um,
Natural body types. Yeah. Uh, I always felt like Jeff is like Kevin Bacon light. Am I the only one that feels
Yeah.
that way? Like,
Nope.
No,
he's-
yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
it's that
like
archetype.
supposed to be that
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
that
sure.
archetype. And then we have Ted, who's the funny one with his red hair. And so they're heading down the funny thing, while Sandra and Jeff are talking, Crazy Ralph makes his return to the franchise,
Oh my
telling them that they're doomed. You're doomed.
Yeah.
It's got a death curse.
I
Come on,
told
guys,
the
give it to me.
others.
I put
He's
the
like, I told
old
the
man
others, and now I'm
crazy
gonna
as
tell
Jack
you.
with his ominous warnings.
Cr-
But
God
as
damn
we
it,
will
Ralph.
find out, not for long.
That's true. I do love that trucker in the first movie. God damn it, Ralph.
That trucker was great.
He was great.
Dude, other than the guy's gas mileage, that truck looked pretty sweet.
Oh, it looked like a nice truck for sure. Yeah. Speaking of that truck, it gets stopped on their way to the camp by a giant log, basically a giant branch in the road. And as they're clearing it, they find a sign for Camp Crystal Lake.
No. They don't just find a sign. Like the guys are like, "Oh man, it looks like someone put this log here," so they're carrying it away. And then what was her name, Sandra?
Mm-hmm.
She just is like, I'm gonna wander off to the woods and see what I can
yeah.
find. Like one day,
she's not going to help lift that.
like, well, yeah, she's probably like, they're gonna be in like 2 or 3 minutes. I'm just gonna wander around the woods and see what crazy I can find.
Yeah,
I thought that
she's
was
probably
hilarious.
looking for
Like, who does
berries.
that?
She's looking for
Could be.
some berries. She's looking for some wild shrooms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she finds that sign real quick. She just like
She
walks.
does find a real
She's
real
like,
quick.
yeah, this is spooky. Let me walk into the woods that I just proclaimed out loud that is spooky, and then immediately find the sign.
Yeah, well,
Hey, one time.
Set up very well.
Yeah. Yes, Derek? We literally stopped for your story. This one time.
A group of us saw a car coming in the middle of the night, and we jumped into the woods.
Well,
And,
you gotta have context. That just sounds weird. So we were at a place after, like, where were we, at the reservoir or whatever?
Yeah, we were at the reservoir
at night
at
at Missinawa Lake, and we're just ghost hunting essentially. I think just trying to spook each other out.
We were walking through the woods with our old Razor cell phones, using it as a flashlight.
Yes, we had the Razor. This was that old, kids. That long ago.
Those are not bright.
No, they were not.
Not.
So we were walking, and then a car comes by, and our cousin Joey decided that he thought it might be the police for some reason, and that we were doing something wrong, and jumped into the woods and gave himself poison ivy.
Perfect. It is spooky out there, though, to be fair, at night.
Yeah, it is.
I think me and Jake have jumped in the woods a couple times, hiding from cars driving out there. You never know. Could be a serial killer.
It must be a Peru thing.
Every headlight that you see is a serial killer.
Yeah. You're just
Why
afraid
else would they be out there at night?
Afraid he's going to be McConaughey from fucking Texas Chainsaw the Next Generation. That we'll get to that one someday. That's a special film. So the next scene we're introduced to Terry. She's walking in the woods. We get like just a close up of her butt. She's walking in the woods, and she's wearing like shorts that almost aren't even there, and a shirt that's also almost not even there. And she's walking, and then we see a hand, and then she gets flicked with a rock in the ass by a slingshot, and we're introduced to Scott. Guys, what are your thoughts on Scott?
Oh man,
weird.
You totally get a Ted Bundy vibe from this guy.
Creep ass motherfucker, right? He's so creepy.
Yeah. got a weird.
He's harassing this
weird,
poor woman, and he
looks crazy.
He doesn't stop either. He's just like the fact that he winks at her afterwards, like yeah, what do you think of that? She's like, get the fuck away from me. What's wrong with you? Like, goddamn.
Yeah. Something weird about Scott, for sure.
Something weird about Scott. So, then we're introduced to the rest of the counselors. We're introduced to Mark, who is in a wheelchair. We're introduced to Paul, who's the head of the counselors. We're introduced to, we already met Ted. And we're introduced to, Vicky. Yeah. Cassandra is Jeff's girlfriend. And then we see Ginny driving up in her little red bug. Crazy Ralph. There's some funny dialogue in this scene. What do you guys think? When he's like giving his little talking to the counselors.
Paul, yeah.
When Paul talks to the counselors, he says this great little bit when he's like, "Oh, Scott, I see you're here. You need it." And, just kind of introducing him. We did a couple summers, together. And that's when Ginny shows up in her shit-ass car and it's like backfiring. Shit. And I've got to tell you guys right now, Amy Steele as Ginny is my favorite final girl. I adore Ginny. I just think
I see that.
I think she's great.
I have a feeling, though.
I heard your hand.
Quite meet the criteria.
Oh, she's a final girl.
I heard your hand hit, and I thought we were gonna start slow clapping when I heard your hand hit your leg, and I was like, yes, let's all just slow clap.
Give it up for Ginny. Ginny is a great final girl. She's one of the best, actually, of this franchise. She's resourceful. She's smart. She's funny. She's capable. And she is a cutie. She is the best.
For real, did anybody else get that vibe that she doesn't quite meet the requirements?
Derek, we've been through this multiple times. You do not have to be a virgin to be a final girl. Cindy Prescott is a final girl.
Yeah, but that movie kind of broke some of the rules.
Laurie Strode is a final girl.
Yeah, but she was in the first one.
Is she now?
Well, no.
Is she still a final girl?
She's a child. But when you're a grandma, it doesn't matter.
Chris, I'm sure. Well, check this out. I don't think Annie was a final girl or was a virgin in the first movie. I know Chris isn't a virgin in part 3 when we get to that. I know that I don't think most of the Friday 13th girls are virgins. They're just not obsessed with sex at the time.
Yeah.
Casual.
But yes. They're more of
definitely has the wholesome vibe though.
Yes,
for sure.
She's very smart. So
she's not like oh shoot. I was gonna make a joke and I just missed. What was the girl's name in the last movie we watched?
What was the
Her
last
name was
movie
Vicky, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The Final Girls.
Oh, yes.
Like the really crazy horny one.
Yeah, Vicky.
Right?
Yes. No, Vicky wasn't. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's so many names.
I don't think that was
There-
Vicky.
Looking.
No, that wasn't Vicky.
Tina.
Vicky's
Vicky
a
was
friend.
the
Tina.
Yeah,
It's Tina.
Tina.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, she definitely wasn't a
So-
Tina. No.
Yeah, right. Which this movie is like a lot like that movie.
Yes, to a degree. What's funny is that this movie like really doesn't have the super horny oversexed character. You just have the couple
Right.
that are a couple, and then you have Vicky trying to hook up with Mark. But that's it. It's not like
yeah.
sex, like the like the Kurt. Give me those hoots. Yeah, hootin'.
Oh
I
my
think that's why I
God.
going
like
on.
this movie is that it doesn't have that like crazy character. I feel like that character is not
Obnoxious?
completely obnoxious sometimes, but not completely unrealistic, but like
Yeah,
it's just
slightly
like
so.
pretty
Yeah,
I
slightly
guess
so.
obnoxious.
So yeah, this whole camp. I liked in this bit when Ginny pulls when she tricks Paul into like fixing her car, and he like says, you got to be nice to it. Don't use that child psychology that you're majoring in. And then it backfires in his face, and she says, I like to use that child psychology on you. It's a lot more fun. And I just think that's a really fun scene, and it's a good character moment for them. I actually think that they're strong characters, Paul and Ginny both.
What do you think
Are,
about their relationship as a whole, though?
so the
'Cause
relationship
yeah,
I think that I think she goes down there because they're dating, but he's not supposed to be fraternizing with the help, quote unquote. So he did the typical guy thing where he got pissed and then realized he was an asshole at the beginning when she's like, well, the phones aren't even working. It's like, oh yeah, fuck. You know what? I really do love you. Like, yeah. Bullshit, Paul. I know this bit. But
he says
I
he's kind of mean to her sometimes, like unnecessarily, I think.
he's just a smart ass. That's why I like Paul. He's cool and smart
Like
ass.
he apologizes and whatever, and they have a cute little moment, and then he's like, now go park your car somewhere. It's starting to look like a Burger King parking lot.
Well, he
Like,
doesn't
he's
say
just
it
so
mean.
rude.
He doesn't say it mean.
He
You're reading
does.
it completely wrong. At least completely different than I read
Yeah.
it. I read it as a joke. Like
If
he's
you guys said
frustrated
that
with
to me, I would
everything.
cry.
Yeah. Well, Lydia, next time you come over, I'm going to say, hey, move your car. You're starting to make this place look like a Burger King. And you're going to be like, next time we're at Mom and Dad's, that's what I'm going to say to you. This place is looking like a Burger King. You're going to go in the corner and cry.
There's
People are
plenty
like,
of
what's wrong with
cars
Lydia?
every time.
I know. This next scene is one of my all-time favorite scenes in any of the Friday the 13th movies. It's one of the most iconic. It is the Campfire Story about Jason.
I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason.
What do you guys think of this scene?
I like it. I like this
Yeah.
scene for sure.
Yeah, I love this scene. I love how it spreads the legend of Jason, and the way it's told is so great. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna give it to you straight about Jason, and he tells the legend backstory, and it builds his mystique, and then it ends with the fake scare. A joke, and then Ginny, of course, is a smart ass. Second act needs work. What do you think, Derek?
So it's kind of strange because like in the first movie, the first movie is a little strange at the very end, right? Because like you're led to believe that her son died. He drowned because of incompetent, over sex crazed counselors. But like, and then you see him at the end of the movie, and he jumps out of the lake, and you're like, and maybe it was all a dream.
It was, it was a dream,
type thing. But then in this one, you're kind of led to believe that he didn't die because there's not really a reference to him.
He didn't die.
Yeah.
He didn't die. They never found his body. Jason doesn't die until Friday 4. Then Jason dies.
Officially dies.
That's when Jason dies. That's when human Jason ends, and then zombie Jason begins in part 6. Yeah.
And lives on. Yeah, because like there's a time jump as well, because they reference that.
5 years.
Yeah. The only campfire, actually this one's probably way better than that, but it's also a really good one, was from one of the first movies that we watched. You know what I'm talking about? It was a John Carpenter movie.
The Fog.
The Fog.
I don't know why it
The
wasn't
Fog,
coming to me, but like,
as soon as he said it, we both were like, ah. Yes.
Yeah, but when you
the
think
best.
of good campfire story scenes, like this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, yeah, it's iconic. It's one of they've used it on many Friday recaps and everything because it's just a great tone setter. Um, so there's this following that there's this fun scene where basically we get to see the cabin. We see build suspense with somebody watching them interact inside the cabin, and we get like some fun games. What's his name? Ted's playing his video games. Mark's arm wrestling people, and Vicky's all like touching his arm. We get the seed planted that Sandra wants to go to Crystal Lake because she's really interested in it, and Jeff's gonna do it because he wants to have a JJ. I'm becoming slowly morphing into Kurt. I can't help it. So he definitely he's gonna do it because she wants him to. And then we have Paul and Ginny playing chess, and he thinks he beats her, and she's like, "Checkmate. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm bored here. I'm gonna go to bed." And she goes to her cabin, and we get a suspense scene where she is scared by Paul, and we find out that Crazy Ralph's watching out the window, and Crazy Ralph gets strangled by a tree with fucking barbed wire. What do you guys think of this whole sequence?
I like it. I love the scenes when they are just being themselves in the cabin. They're just like having a great time in the 80s back when there were no worries,
Yeah. And I
it's
also
great. And they're like sarcastic and funny. It's
also
fun.
failed to mention that Scott starts dancing with the dog at this point because that's going to be important here in a minute because Terry has a dog named Muffin, and he's dancing with it because he asked Terry to dance, of course, and she's like, "No, thank you," which I would have said too.
Yes, I thought it was funny that he was like asked the dog if he wanted to dance. I want that dog. It was so cute.
Muffin is a cute dog. So, what do you think of this scene, Derek?
So a couple of things. One of the things I wrote down whenever we had the old crazy guy,
Crazy Ralph,
with his ominous warnings, and then I made a notation. I was like, "But not for long." Dun, dun, dun. But other than that, so I actually think that the cast,
really
there's
strong.
a couple of them that are outliers, but like they have really good chemistry with one another on screen, and it shows a lot. Like you could tell that these people had a lot of fun making this movie. Is how it comes across. So a lot of the dialogue and the scenes that they have together, like it goes really well together.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
nice.
and you enjoy spending time with these characters, which is important.
Yeah.
So you don't want bad to befall them necessarily.
Yeah.
Because they're not obnoxious. There's an interesting bit in this scene. Jenny tells Paul she wants to tell him something. We never find out what that is. Is Jenny pregnant, guys?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Is Jenny pregnant?
I totally
she
missed
has
that.
to be.
Because she says, "Hey, there's something I want to tell you," and he kisses her or whatever, and it just never gets mentioned. It never gets finished. He
says no. He shushes her. He's like, no,
yeah,
don't tell me anything.
Yeah, and
then she
kissing.
Never gets to say.
And I mean, she might have told him off screen, but but then later in the movie, she's drinking, so maybe not.
I mean,
she's drinking at the bar.
The 80s.
It was the 80s, but Jenny is intelligent, and she's a psych major. She wouldn't drink if she was pregnant. So maybe not.
I'm curious if they had like those warnings. You know what? I'm going to research that, and I'll tell you next week maybe. But it was the 80s. I'm going to say.
I'm sure they knew that drinking was not good when you were pregnant in the 80s. It wasn't the 40s. doctors weren't smoking cigarettes and saying, I personally smoke Camel. They give you the best lungs. That's how doctors. That's how everybody spoke in the 40s, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see, smoke camels.
What?
Camels.
What was she going to tell Paul? What was she going to tell him?
The only thing
I missed that.
Maybe the only other thing I can think is that she was going to tell him she loved him. Those are the only two things. Maybe. Either that she's pregnant or like that he hasn't heard it yet. Yeah. Like, yeah. And that could be it too.
That could be. I don't know if they said it. I didn't pay attention if they said that in the movie.
No, I don't think they do.
Like, when you hear her say that and he stops her and you're like, oh man.
Yeah, I know.
Apparently
always thought
Derek
that.
didn't catch it, but
I've always thought that, and it's been one of those things that I go back and forth on. I'm like, is she? But it could be that she was going to tell him she loves him. Could also be as simple as, I really was late because of X or Y. But I think it was definitely one of those two. So the next scene, we get everybody's jogging through the woods, and Jeff and Sandra wander off to Camp Crystal Lake. They're on their way towards Camp Crystal Lake. What? Camp Blood. Yes, Camp Blood. They're heading towards Camp Blood to see what's going on. And we see Muffin run into a figure, and we do a cut to hot dogs. By the way, just wanted to point that out.
I got that too.
And there's a really funny, they're like just saying like jokes to each other, and like he says, the one joke is what's brown and sits on a piano? Beethoven's Fifth Movement.
Yeah, I caught that one.
But they end up going in the woods. They see what they think is the remains of Muffin. They're not sure. And then they're wandering in the woods. We see them being stalked by somebody, and it ends up being the world's worst dressed sheriff.
The third best detective.
Yes, of this movie. Yeah. So he brings them back to the camp, and I love the scene with Paul and the sheriff. I think it's super funny. So, because he's like, I don't see what the big deal. And the sheriff's like, I can't have you guys here. And he's saying all this stuff. And he's like, you guys go on to your, cabin. I'll talk to you later. And they're like, you're not even going to punish him? Like, Jenny, make sure that Jeff and Sandra don't get seconds on desserts tonight. He clearly just doesn't give a shit about this.
Like, seconds on dessert?
Yeah. It's so great. I think it's so funny. So then our sheriff he's driving down the road, and he sees somebody run across the thing, so he gives chase. And I really like this scene because I like this chase scene. What do you guys think of this chase scene? So they're running in the woods, and they're using certain items as markers, like the mud puddle.
And this actually reminded me of whatever you said at the very beginning, that there were elements of this movie that you see come out in your directing. That was actually one of them that I was like, I wonder if he got that from.
I did.
Movie.
That's the one that I knew I got, because when it's in Cutoff, our second short, there's a chase scene, and I use a mud puddle to show how close one is to the other. So there's a mud puddle hit, a run, and then a mud puddle hit to show they're that close in time. Because I thought it was a good indicator of tension and a good indicator of geography. So I always put that in the back of my mind when I watch this. After I watched the scene, I was like, that works, because it's a geographical marker that you can delineate from.
It's not just like running through the woods. Where are they? How far?
Yeah, and you get kind of lost with that. But if you give something that the audience can know definitively, hey, this is a landmark here, then you know, oh shit, he's at that landmark and he just passed that landmark, so they're really close together. So yeah, that's a good poll, Derek. It is from this movie. That is inspired by this one. So we see Jason's shack. He shows up to Jason's shack, and I've got to say, Jason's got a pretty nice fucking pad. His shack is pretty well made for being made from scraps. He's got
it
a
made
little
from scraps?
Well,
I thought it was a standing structure that he just like.
I think he
I
built
thought
it.
it was like a trailer.
I'm thinking he built it, guys.
Well, if he built it, he did a terrible job.
I'm with Lydia on that.
He's not a very good decorator.
No, he's not a good decorator.
He's an awesome marksman with a bow and arrow, but maybe he's good with a hammer too.
It's made with here. Watch, I'll show you.
Kills the guy with a hammer.
Yeah, here. So let's share I'm going to share this with you guys. So yeah, it's not homemade. See, it's homemade. See, made with different pieces and parts.
Looks like an old style.
He's like, I'm going to put a window.
Yep.
He's like, I'm going to put a window over here and then cover it up.
Yeah, pretty much. He has this thing holding it up. See that? That 2x4 there?
Someone made like a miniature. Do you see the miniature over there?
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Look at that.
That's badass.
You know what I think? I think that this was his like clubhouse when he was a kid.
That's a possibility. That is a possibility.
He lives there because
it's not one of your worst ideas. It's not one of your worst ideas. It's not Malignant 2 post-apocalypse, but it's a good one.
You wait and see.
So yeah, he gets killed, like you said, Derek, with a hammer. He gets what do you guys think of the hammer kill?
I think it's great.
I was just so distracted by the shack and the terrible condition of it, and like what what was going on. The chase scene was really good though, but the shack was weird because it was so messy.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I couldn't get past it. It might be
Jason's not a clean guy.
My OCD, but
yeah, Jason's not a clean guy. I wouldn't expect him to be. I mean, he wears overalls around in this one. Wouldn't expect him to be like just living in the Ritz. That would have been awkward. He went out there and there was like this nice fancy house, and Jason has like a big screen TV.
Well, I mean, like he could have had like a bed.
His knives hanging.
It's like what is he just sleeps? He just sleeps on like just trash and like it's like plywood everywhere.
I think he had like a bed. He had a mattress, a shitty mattress, but he had a mattress. You remember, he's not buying these things, Liddy. He's just salvaging them.
Well, still,
you gotta do what you gotta do, especially when
not
you're,
to mention the rotting corpse head.
There are the rotting corpses. That probably isn't good for the house either.
Does he eat? Do you think he eats just raw animals, or
he eats animals? I think he probably cooks them, but he eats animals. Yeah.
Where do you think he goes?
Lives off the land. There was a toilet in there. There's a toilet in there. I don't think it had
it's not
plumbing,
working.
but there's definitely a toilet in there.
So he found a toilet.
We need a 3D
and brought it in there.
Of this house now.
Yeah, like what is this?
We're gonna go frame by frame and like be like, oh yeah, look. This is
turn into fucking cribs? What is this?
Cribs for psycho killers and crazy people.
Who did you compare to Chip Gaines that one time, Derek? Do you remember?
Chip Gaines.
I just want to bring Chip Gaines back into this, but I can't remember who you compared him to last time.
It was actually it was Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead.
Was it?
Was it?
Yeah, because like in the first couple of scenes, you could tell like he was like real tight and nervous, and then like as the movie went on, you could tell he like really gained his
confidence,
his composure, and Yeah, his confidence, and I was like, "Oh, this is like Chip Gaines. You ever watch the first couple episodes?"
That's
of
what it
Chip
was,
Rapper?
yeah. Because you went on one of your patented segues and tangents. That reminds me of Chip Gaines. And then I said,
That was awesome.
"Who the hell is Chip Gaines?"
So in the next
believe you did, yeah.
next Friday the 13th, maybe Jason will gain his composure and
Yeah, well, he
his
definitely
confidence.
gets his swag in part 3 for sure. That's when it starts. The swag starts for sure.
There's a scene I can't wait till we get to it, and I'll hold off. But like, it's such a foreshadowing dialogue for the future of the franchise. It's
okay.
kind of great.
So we go from there to basically everybody is at home and they're about to go out to the bar. And Paul says, "Well, guess who? We need people to volunteer to stay at camp, and our wanderers have volunteered to stay. So Jeff and Sandra have to stay." So then Mark says he's staying because he says something about being a drunk in a wheelchair. And of course, Vicky stays because she's all about that Mark D. She wants that Mark D.
I don't think she wants it.
What?
Oh yeah, Vicky. Never mind. I was thinking of
Vicky wants that Mark D.
Yeah.
So then Terry says she's staying with them, and Mark's like, or Scott's like, "Oh, I'm tired. I guess I'll stay too." And gives her a look, like fucking creep ass Scott. You need to stop. So those are going to be our cast of characters. Everybody else heads out to the bar. So this is the point where people just start getting picked off one by one. And we have Sandra and Jeff go upstairs to do it. Mark and Vicky are playing video games. Terry goes for a walk by herself and a swim in the lake. And then Mark Scott's just floating somewhere, and we find out where Scott is. What were you going to say, Derek? You're muted, buddy.
I knew it was going to bite me one of these times. Anyway, this video game scene is interesting because they have choices. I think it's either football and then
football and hockey. Yeah,
and she makes a reference to the one with the,
one with the puck.
Yeah, the
That's
one
what she says.
Puck. And I don't know if maybe it's just me, but like I might have read way too much into it. I just think that it's ironic that like moving forward, like the face of the franchise is obviously a hockey mask. I just really focused in on this dialogue that she was having with this.
I never thought about that.
It's definitely coincidental.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
it is. It's.
I'm sure
it's cool.
Is.
It's definitely coincidental because they didn't even know what Jason's mask was going to be till they got on set and they're like, "What about this hockey mask?" They're like, "Yeah, that'll work."
What are the odds of that? That's cool. That's a cool coincidence.
It is a great coincidence. That's a good
point.
Like
destiny.
To point out. It is destiny. I think the reason she chose hockey is because of the innuendo with puck. Because it rhymes with another word. Puck. It rhymes with another word, Derek.
Oh. Yeah. He also alludes
she kind of is.
His equipment is not.
Well, because he says she says the one with the puck, and then she says, "What do you want to play with?" And he says, she said, "What do you want to play for?" And she says, "Position."
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
she's kind of like the horniest character.
Says, she totally is. Because he was like, "All right, what do you want?" And she was like, "Your fingers."
Yeah.
And then she pulls out the games.
Yeah, sexual. I mean, she's all about it. This whole
all over
scene.
the place. Yeah.
But like, honestly, though, like she's not obnoxious. I don't think.
No.
And like,
she just has a crush on this guy. Yeah.
Yes, I ship them. Like, I wanted to see them like
Yeah,
just
me
be
too.
a couple. Like I love
Me
them.
too.
I was really sad
Yeah.
when they both bit the dust.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, me too.
So we'll get back to them. Before we get back to them, let's go to our other characters that are on the prowl, Terry and Scott. So, Derek, is this is one of your favorite scenes? So,
I don't know why you say it like that.
so Terry goes skinny dipping, and she takes all of her clothes off. Obviously, that's what you do when you're skinny dipping. She lays them on the side. And we get like some full frontal nudity for 1981. There's a lot going on here. But we see a hand reach down and grab the clothes. She gets out of the water, and there's motherfucking Scott again. Motherfucking Scott being all creepy with her clothes, and he's like, ha 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 ha, and like, throws a towel to her in her pants, but keeps her shirt. And he runs off and ends up getting ensnared in a trap that Jason set. Mm-hmm. And she says, calls him a pervert, says, I should let you hang, pervert. And she finally tells him, hey, if I cut you down, will you cut the shit? He's like, sure, just give me a break. It's just a prank. It's like, no, you're sexually harassing this woman, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk about Mark's death first, because it's the first one to happen here. He gets his throat slit with the machete. What do you guys think of this kill?
Didn't come soon enough.
Wait, who are we talking about? Mark?
Not Mark, I'm sorry. Scott.
Oh, that's right, because he's hanging upside down.
Hanging upside down and gets his throat slit.
Yeah. It was like, that was cool, because I would have left his ass there too. I mean, not that hoping he would get murdered, but I mean, I would have left him there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, she goes to get the knife to cut him down, but he's just stuck there. I like his. I think it's a good throat slit. The blood flies. It's good. We don't get enough of it because of the MPAA. Those pieces of garbage, but it's a good kill, and there's a couple interesting things with Terry's kill that happen here. So when she's running through the woods, she has the towel and she throws it into camera, which is a cool shot. But it also, why is she just throwing that towel away? Like, why are you throwing this towel into the woods? Then when she gets inside the cabin, there's this bit where she ducks down below camera. She's been down getting something, and then she raises up right into camera and almost looks into the camera. You guys notice that? Derek, you're muted.
I did notice this, and that actually is not the first time she looked into the camera. Whenever she was doing her skinny dipping scene, she glanced at the camera for a brief second. So, yeah, I noticed it.
And the second one was intentional. The second one, she's supposed to raise up into camera, but she's not supposed to look directly at it. But she totally looks at it for a few seconds before she looks back and forth. So she goes back to the to good old Scott, finds him dead, and then she's killed off screen. You have to have, one off-screen death. What are you going to do? What do you guys think of their death scenes and their whole sequence together?
I don't remember her. I don't remember her looking into the camera, so I can't say anything about that. And it doesn't show her death, so I can't say anything about that. Yeah, he's a creep. It's like you're like, all right, bye.
Yeah, I think it's a solid, good sequence. It's a good suspense sequence. What do you think, Derek? Go ahead, Lydia.
No, I was like, it's definitely like it's suspenseful because she gets completely naked and walks into a lake at night by herself. I think that was like the scariest part for me because I would never do that in like a million years.
No. That is scary.
I'd try it.
The full moon tonight, ladies.
As long as I had really great dialogue, I think it would work. Anyway, yeah, I think his kill is actually pretty cool. I like the fact that he gets, ensnared in that trap and is upside down. And I also love that he blames it on somebody else.
Yeah, blames it on
Mhm.
Paul.
Blames it on Scott, on Paul, and
Yeah,
his wilderness bullcrap. I think.
yeah. Paul and his
along the
wilderness
lines of it.
bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
So that's fun. And then the classic chasing the girl through the woods montage. I mean, who doesn't like that?
Yeah. And then there's her death scene is off screen, but there's a cool cut. She screams towards camera, and then we cut to this guitar player playing this lick, and we're in the bar, and we get the sequence with Jenny, Paul, and Ted. What do you guys think of this bar sequence? It's very important. There's some important stuff that happens in this bar sequence with Jenny's basically piecing together Jason's history and like maybe he's still alive and starting to think about the psychology of what this person would be. What do you think of this scene?
Yeah, she's kind of like the only one that's like considering at all that this might have been a true story. And I totally relate to that because I would be the one to like focus in on the scary thing that happened, like I wanted to keep talking about the scary story. It's like that's a total me move, I feel like. Like even if it wasn't true, I would just keep talking about it, Just local legends are fun to talk about.
They are fun.
But
yeah.
in this case, she was right. So
Yeah, she was right. What do you think, Derek?
I felt like she knew too much. Like, because at this point she's just kind of guessing, like, oh, if this were true, stuff like that. I feel like she was too on the nose as far as
like they didn't give
personal
her a
opinion.
reason
I
to
just
be
feel like
so on the nose.
Well, they did.
Exactly.
She's
Yeah.
a
I guess she's a
psychology
psych
major. She's a psych major.
she-
That's why she's kind of looking at it from this perspective and piecing together. So she's like, and she's not right about everything, but she's like, well, I know that. I mean, it's pretty easy to piece together. We know he knows that he supposedly drowned. What if he didn't? We know that his mom was beheaded. What if he saw her? And what if he had no idea what life and death was? And what if that traumatized him and he's in a state of rage? What would he be? She says, would he be a frightened word that we don't say anymore? Would he be
I did catch that too.
Would he be a boy trapped in a man's body? These are things that are all possible. What is Jason? I mean, what is human Jason? Is he? I think he's more of a boy trapped in a man's body, right? Like, I mean, to a degree, right?
I
Because
could
of the
see where you
mommy
might get that
issues.
from this one for sure.
Yeah.
In the reboot, he's too brutal to.
Well, the reboot's
I
a
don't
different beast. Yeah. The reboot's a different beast.
Yeah, one day we'll get to that, but
Yeah.
I stand by what I said. I think she knew too much, but I also get your point. I don't know how far along she was. Was she a grad student?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, maybe.
She was definitely
I'll give
older.
it a
She was
maybe.
definitely in her 20s. And that's another thing I
Yeah.
like about the characters in this movie. They're not teens. They're adults. They're all adults, and they're not trying to, except for Jeff and Sandra. They are teens, but like Paul and Jenny are adults. They're in their 20s for sure. Paul might even be in his 30s. But yeah, I like this scene, and I like how it shows Jenny's intelligence. It makes her a more three-dimensional character and not just a person that's there, that has to survive at the end. We have a reason for that. So let's talk about Mark and Vicky in their death scenes. So they decide they're gonna hook up, right? She says something about like, is it just your legs that don't work? And he says, oh, I do all right, one way or another. Then they kiss, and she's like, do you want to stay at my place tonight? And he's like, I was gonna ask you the same thing. And so she says, give me time to get ready. And she goes to get sexy. And her version of sexy is putting on a fucking sweater and like pee-pee pants underwear.
Brown underwear.
Brown pee-pee pants underwear.
I didn't know that. I thought they were more like a purplish color, but
I think they're brown. I think
either
Lydia's
way,
right. I think they're
I mean,
brown.
They looked
if
brown to
you think
me.
about the lingerie back in the day, like, that was, I guess, what they considered.
That wasn't lingerie. It looked like the pants that you put on people if they might pee the bed. Like, that's the material it looked like. I mean, I think it's silk, but it doesn't look like it.
They're
It looks
kind of silky, but they're baggy.
But
so
they're
it's
baggy,
like not...
so it looks like the rubber
that's just
pants.
A product of the times.
But the sweatshirt,
sure.
I have no explanation for at all either. She's like,
hey.
well, let me get sexy for you. Sweatshirt.
Maybe
like, I don't think I've seen a pair of brown underwear.
You have now.
Just
you
like,
have now.
Buy brown underwear at a store. I've never seen that.
My brother
Derek's
once
brother has
underwear.
some brown underwear.
That's really gross, guys. That's really gross.
Oh my god! One day I might tell the backstory.
Do you want him to tell it?
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. No, I don't want to hear that.
You do.
Guys, do you want
tell me.
it? Do you want it? I think you'd like it, Lydia.
I think I heard a collective no from the audience just now.
We'll save that one for next week. Guys, comment. If you want to hear Derek's backstory to the brown underwear, comment, and we will definitely do it next week. Yeah, she's spraying herself with perfume, and she sprays it like on her vag.
Yeah, she does. Ugh. I think I said out loud, I was like, don't do that.
She's just the worst. She's not. I don't know if she's ever had sex before. Or if maybe the person that she seduced was hard of seeing. I don't know. Because she sprays herself with like a gallon of perfume too. She's like,
yeah, and you gotta imagine it's just like some like old, like stale, expired perfume that just smells like old ladies. That's what I was imagining. I was like, that 80s perfume that just
80s
never
perfume
smelled right.
smells like hairspray.
Yeah, like
Aquanet.
Weird. Yeah, for sure.
This is not an exaggeration. I once worked with a lady. I swear you could smell her before you saw her. She wore that much perfume. It was anyway.
Yeah, it happens, man.
But
Some people.
The fact that she does like give it the whole body routine kind of fits because he indicated that maybe he is not functional, and
I think he's
other ways to.
I think he's functional enough.
I mean, he does.
I think.
He said I do all right.
Yeah,
I think he's good. I think he's fine. I think I was like, my first thought before I was like, don't do that. I was like, the bears are gonna come.
Because of that line where he says that. He's like,
that's hilarious.
Be extra cautious if you're on your menstruation cycle.
Yeah, well, he was like, and ladies don't use perfume, keep yourself clean, whatever. That's understandable. But I was like, okay, first of all, I just like watched a video about bears, and it was like, bears' sense of smell is literally like 10,000 times better than like a bloodhound's sense of smell. It's like that bear does will smell you without the perfume. That bear knows you are there 1,000%.
Well, the bears run away in the forest because they know Jason's out there. The bears are like, I don't
Right.
want to fuck with no Jason. I don't blame you, bears. I don't blame you. So Mark gets killed next, and Mark probably is one of the best deaths in the series. He gets a good old machete right to the dome piece, right to his face, and he flies backwards down a flight of stairs. What do you guys think of Mark's death?
Oh,
Iconic.
it's so sad.
It is iconic,
It is
Derek.
also sad.
It is sad. It is sad. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the saddest
it is
one.
sad.
I wanted him to just be okay so bad.
Yeah,
I love
actually
very
he is.
empathetic.
I just loved all the flirting. It's so empathetic. I just like they're the best. They're my favorite characters in the movie. So I was like, I
Yeah,
don't want them to
they're
die
great.
right now.
Yeah, they're great. And then they
And like how they pulled that off, that effect of not only chopping into his head, but sending him down the stairs backwards without toppling over. I don't know how they did that.
it has to be a dummy. I'm guessing it's a dummy.
Well, yeah.
It has to be.
I don't know how
Yeah,
you run that by your
definitely
legal
dummy.
team, and they're like, "Yep, looks fine. We'll insure that."
Super Dave would do it.
Yeah, I
But,
guess it's
yeah.
definitely a dummy, but it's still like how I don't
It's so
know,
good,
Like, they
yeah.
must have done something, like
It's so good.
weighted the front of it so that it
Yeah.
doesn't tip backwards.
Mm.
Great
Yeah.
shot,
The two
great shot,
iconic,
and then it freezes
Yeah, the freeze is
It
so
does
cool.
freeze,
The freeze at the end is really cool.
with the music.
Yeah.
like, with the music matching it. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, great one.
I think the
So
two
then-
iconic deaths in this movie are this one for sure.
We're about to get to this one. Yeah. Go ahead, Derek.
Did I jump the gun a little bit?
No, that's the
That's
next
my
death.
bad.
Go ahead and talk about it.
Okay, the couple.
Jeff and Sandra?
Yep, Jeff and Sandra. Exactly. Yeah, like the spear that goes right through them, both of them,
Yeah.
and right into the floor.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it's a
they're
real power move.
so they're having sex, and Jason walks in, and she sees him, and they get shish kebabbed. Iconic
they
death.
do.
You're right. Shish kebabbed.
That's
They
that's
get shish
appropriate, right?
kaboned.
I mean, that's what they were doing beforehand.
Yep.
Yeah, they're shish
Interesting
kebab.
story. Interesting fact about this scene is they originally filmed a full frontal sex scene with Jeff and Sandra. But after they filmed it, they found out that what's her name? The actress that plays Sandra, it is, I know it, Marta Kober. They found out that Marta Kober lied about her age and was actually only 17.
Oh, she looks 17.
Yeah, so
does
she
look
told them
really
that
young.
she told them that she was 18. She had documentation to prove it, but come to find out afterwards that she had forged them and had lied about her age. She was only 17, so they had to burn all of that footage. So all that footage is gone.
Oh, good.
So yeah, definitely good. So we were going to see another sex scene there, and it probably would have been more
Wow.
more graphic of a death too, probably. But the death was originally more graphic, but the MPAA cut it. But it's still it still works. Seeing the spear hit the bed, we're going to see a shot of them actually impaled.
Is there a director's cut that has the more graphic
There's not,
death?
but we have box art, or we have actual screenshots of it, like from promotional shots of it. But I don't know if that's ever been released. I'll have to look on my box set and see if it is. But yeah. So next is Sandra's death, or is Vicky's death, and the only cool thing about Vicky's death is we get to see our first shot of Jason, which is baghead Jason. So he's got a bag over his head, one eye hole cut out because he only has one good eye, and he's wearing like overalls. What do you guys think of Jason's look in this movie?
It's creepy.
wonder if the
It's
costume designer
not
was
as iconic.
Australian.
What were you saying, Liddy?
I don't think it's it's obviously not as iconic as the hockey mask, but I think it is really effectively creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I saw that, I would lose my mind.
Yeah, it's very Town That Dreaded Sundownish with the bag over his head.
Yep.
But except
sure,
instead of it, it's more like a pillowcase almost, like something he just found to cover his face. And he's pretty imposing. He looks really good, I think. I think Jason looks good in this one. It's definitely not near as iconic as the hockey mask that we're about to get, right? I mean, clearly.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think of her death? She just gets stabbed, but it's a really interesting shot, right? How we have the hyper focus on the knife, and then we shift focus to her. And we see Jason's like black thumb, his like thumbs all messed up and stuff.
Yeah. That looks like a real blood blister under that nail to me. I was like, oh, I wonder what happened to that guy's thumb, because I mean, who would think to put that like as a makeup effect? Why would you?
I think they do, because it pulls through on the next sequels. Jason has like those black underneath his fingernails.
Really?
So yeah. It endures.
I wonder if they did it because that guy actually had a blood blister.
Maybe
that looks so real to me.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, what do you think of her death, Derek?
I do like that shot. That shot is pretty creative.
Paul and Ginny head back to the cabin at this point, and they're discovering some weird shit going on. They see that nope, they can't find anybody. Ginny goes upstairs and finds the bloody sheets. Paul finds weed and says, "These kids smoke better dope than I do." She goes upstairs, sees bloody sheets everywhere. She goes downstairs, and Paul's like trying to turn on the lights. He's at the junction box, and she says, "Paul, there's somebody in this room with us." And he doesn't pay attention. She says, "Paul, there's somebody in this fucking room." Jason stands up and attacks Paul. They fight. He knocks Paul out. And then he just pops up and the chase is on. What do you guys think of this final girl chase? Because I think it's one of the best.
Yeah, I like that line a lot. There's somebody in this fucking room. She really freaks out for a minute. Like she knew. How did she know that he was in there? Like she had some.
It's one of those. It's one of those feelings. You ever get? You know what I'm talking about. You walk in and you're like, I'm not alone in here. You ever get that feeling?
Yeah, but I get that.
Yeah, but I've never been right about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I have. I've walked in and felt like there's somebody there, and there was like somebody was trying to jump out and play a prank on me or scare me. And I just felt like there's somebody here. So I think that's what it was. Plus, I think she might have been able to. She might have saw something move over there.
She might have seen the outline.
Yeah, because
or like a window was open or something. Maybe.
Yeah, and we see it a lot clearer than she does, obviously, because they light it so we, the audience, can see it. But then the chase starts, and I think this chase is a banger. I love it. She runs into the bathroom, and she's holding the door shut, and he comes through the window. The really suspenseful scene. Then she climbs out of the window, and in a different room after he busts through with a fucking pitchfork. The chase is on. She tries to get in the car and leave, and he starts pitchforking through the roof of the car. My other favorite bit is when she goes into the underneath the bed, and she's hiding under the bed. And he's looking for her, and a rat comes by, and she's just scared, and she pisses herself. And Jason sees the pee, like smells it or hears it, and he looks back and sees the pee, and then he gets up on the chair, and he tries to impale her when she crawls out. And then she grabs a chainsaw from the closet and fucking chainsaws his arm and then bashes him with a chair, and he's out. What do you guys think of this whole sequence before we get to the end sequence? What do you think of this final girl chase? There's also a great bit where she's hiding in the woods or in the trees and kicks him in the dick as he runs around. Derek, you're muted.
So that's what I get for having to clear my throat like 90 times during our podcast. But yeah, she also, I think there's a point where she tries to get in her car and drive away, and the shitty thing won't start.
Yeah, it won't start. So then he tries to come in through the top. What do you guys think of this final girl chase up to the end that we're about to get to? I love this one. I think it's better than the first one for sure. It's more suspenseful.
Yeah.
And more actiony.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I don't like the
agree.
pee.
That part freaks me out.
Yeah, that's because you have a fear of that, Derek.
Right. I like the rat, though. I like rats a lot. I'm a rat person.
I like the Rat
soft
King.
spot for rats.
You like the Rat King? He's a good villain. Yeah, I think there's some really good stuff in this chase. It's suspenseful and actiony and fun. So then she ends up at Jason's shack, and Jason comes in with a pickaxe and is chopping down his door. She's kind of barricading him, out, and he comes in, and she sees Mrs. Voorhees' head and the sweater. He's created a shrine to her. So she puts on the sweater and uses her psychology to basically trick Jason. And he starts seeing her as Mrs. Voorhees. And it's going perfectly. It's working perfectly to plan. Until she raises up the machete. He's kind of confused, but he's like, all right. And then when she raises it, he sees Mrs. Voorhees' head behind her. So he blocks the machete hit with the thing, and then scratches her leg, gashes her leg open. Paul comes in and fights Jason. And he's about to kill Paul, and we get the classic Friday the 13th slow motion. And she frickin' buries that machete right into his shoulder. And he falls down. What do you guys think of this final fight?
Love it. I think it's super smart and clever. Really cool, suspenseful. Yeah, it's so scary because you're like, this I don't want this to go wrong. I don't want this to go wrong. And then it goes wrong because he sees the head back there, and then you're like, oh no, that's not good. So you're like, it's so freaky.
What do you think, Derek?
So this is the perfect opportunity to showcase like her educational background and tie it into this movie. Like that makes 100% perfect sense that you could probably pull that off, especially if you have any likeness to his mom. So it actually reminds me of a scene from Dragon. It's like one of the Silence of the Lambs spinoffs.
Oh, Red Dragon.
Red Dragon, where the killer like breaks into the house, and like Edward Norton's character like assumes the personality of the guy's
of the mother.
Would have been the guy's dad.
The dad,
or mother,
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, that's an amazing scene. But anyway, so like the fact that she thinks to do something like that, she puts on the sweater, I think, and tries to be his mother. That's amazing. And then that stupid rotting corpse head has to ruin it all. But
stupid rotting corpse head.
Yeah, this is.
a
I mean, this is a really great scene. Yeah. I mean, from start to finish, it definitely It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good one. So they unmask him. They see his face. We don't. Um, they go back. Paul and Jenny. They go to the cabin and they're resting, and they hear a noise outside. And they go and investigate, and it's Muffin. And she looks up at him, and it plays this fucking chintzy ass music. And then Jason comes through the window as this hobo hillbilly comes through the window and grabs her. What do you guys think of that?
I don't even know where to start. It's so shocking to see the dog, for one, because you're like, you think the dog is dead. It's like, what a twist to have this little Shih Tzu come back to life. It's so weird. It's so random. And then what? How does this end? It's like she gets grabbed, and then what? What happens?
So there's a lot to. We'll talk about that in a second. Derek, You're muted, by the way, before you start talking.
Thank you. I would have started rambling and been muted. It's the one more thing. The jump.
The one
scare.
last scare.
You get it. Yep. One last scare, and also, they kind of double tap, man. You got somebody down, you put them down for the rest of their life, which in his case should have been short, but they let him go, and then he comes back, and he takes at least one of them out.
So, what do you guys think? I mean, what do you think of Jason's design and his makeup? And then I'll get to your question, Lydia.
Let me look it up really quick. I want to look at it before I say anything.
What do you think, Derek?
I was going to make a really, really terrible but amazing joke. When we were talking about his mask, like the potato sack or whatever it is on his head, and he's got one eye. I made a reference. I was like, the makeup person must have been Australian. It was going to be like, good eye, mate.
Oh my God.
I was wondering why you said that. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll probably cut that from the podcast.
Now we're definitely leaving it. That might have been a casualty originally, but after that makes it great. Just the fact, the silence, the letting it permeate. You know what? I think we might go. Love it.
Classic.
You never talked about his actual makeup, by the way, Derek.
I'm looking at the makeup.
Go ahead, Lydia. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure, is that an entire... I'm just trying to figure it out here, because I can't tell if that's a prosthetic nose from this picture that I'm looking at. But it looks like he's got full teeth. It looks like a full headpiece. And it's pretty good. It's definitely scary. It's kind of
like his design?
Goonies.
Yeah.
Goonies-esque.
Very Hills Have Eyes.
Kind of.
Yeah. His teeth are really gross. And he does have this big wound on his shoulder. The overalls are just creepy for some reason. He doesn't wear overalls in any of the other movies, does he?
No, he changes clothes at the beginning of the next one, and then he wears like that costume for a while.
Yeah, interesting. Pretty good.
Yeah, you like it, Derek?
Yeah, I think it looks good. Sorry, hang on just a second.
Definitely freaky. The more you look at it, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah. It's a good design.
Pretty smooth.
I think. Yeah.
It's a pretty smooth transition. It looks good. All that hair is not. Good job, guys. I would be proud if I did something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Excuse me. Little did they know, I'm sure that I mean this is the second one in the franchise, but I'm sure that they had no idea how iconic the character would be,
No,
and
absolutely not.
you know how that would have to carry through for the next 30 years.
Yeah, definitely.
That
They
look.
didn't even know it was
So
going to go for the next 2, let alone 30.
yeah,
So, Lydia, back to your question. You asked a question earlier about what the hell happened to this? What's going on?
Yeah.
It's up for debate. We don't know if that was part of her dream. If that was like similar to the dream that Annie has at the end of the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's what we know for sure. We know that we don't see Muffin again, but I don't know why she would dream Muffin. So that had to have happened. But Paul is missing. We don't know if Paul is dead. We never see Paul again. We don't get closure for it. So I'm assuming he is. But we know Jenny lives. Why would he let Jenny live? Who knows? But if we go based off of part three picks up exactly after this. We see him pull the machete out and crawl away, and then he ends up at that shop. So I know. What do you guys think? That's kind of the thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I was confused. I don't know if I. Yeah, it's an interesting choice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they did the one last scare because they did it in the last movie, and it was a really good scare. I think the scare really works. When he comes through the window, it works.
Yeah. It didn't work for me because I saw it coming from a mile away.
Well, of course. Yeah, and you've seen it a bunch of times. But it's a good scare, and it's solid. But yeah, so the jury's still out. Is it a dream sequence? You guys comment. What do you think? Is it a dream sequence? Did Jason really attack her, and did Paul fight him off, and then Jason is wounded, so he leaves because he's a human at this point, after all? Let us know in your comments. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I would.
And then, go ahead, Derek.
I was going to say I don't think it doesn't make any sense. Mainly because why would he kill Paul and not kill her?
Mm-hmm.
To what you said, I don't know. It is very confusing. But I too would like to know what everybody else thinks.
So then we end basically from there. That's she gets taken away on an ambulance. She's pretty beat up, and that's the end of Friday the 13th Part 2. So guys, what are your guys' thoughts and pumpkin ratings for Friday the 13th Part 2? Let's start with you, Derek.
It is a step up from the last movie. I looked at the rating that I had, and I had given the previous movie a 5. So I think the chemistry with this cast was, really shined through the entire movie with each other. They did a great job. I feel like, it's an interesting step from the first one to introduce Jason as now. I mean, he would almost be an adult. Because he was like what, 12 when he drowned.
Yeah, he'd be an adult.
5-year jump, so he would be about 18.
Well, no, it's not. No, he's an adult because he drowned in 1958.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right. So
yeah,
it still is to introduce him as the person who takes on the mantle as the killer after his mom was the original killer. Is an interesting choice. It set this franchise up for the next X number of decades. It's still going. So yeah, I would say that this is a very iconic movie for what it becomes. And I would give it I'm going to give this movie a 7.
Lydia.
Yeah, I think I really like this movie, actually. It is such a comfort movie for me because I don't know if it's because I've seen it or if it's because it's from the 80s and it's like it has such a, what's the word I want to say? It's the formula, you know.
Yeah, it's a
that
slasher
we all
formula.
know and love.
Yeah.
Yes. It sets up, and like you said, this like inspired you subconsciously and directly that you know, and I don't think you're the only person that
no
feels this way. I think it's like very much inspired a lot of writers and directors and, you know, artists of all kinds. Yeah, it's so iconic. I think I'm gonna give it an 8. Yep, that's what I'm gonna go with.
Yep.
I think I think it's so classic. It's so good. The ending is weird. Like there's some weird parts in it, but it's like it is what it is, and you either love it or you don't. And I think most people that would click on our podcast probably love this franchise, and especially the second movie where you get to see Jason for the first time.
Yeah. I agree. I think that, like you were saying, Derek, it is very important for what this franchise is to become. It was a ballsy move to make Jason the killer, and to shift it, and then it was the best move they ever made. I mean, it made a franchise. It made a franchise. And yeah, it has its faults. It's not a perfect movie. There's some weird shit in there. Like the beginning, there's some weird shit, and at the end, there's some weird shit, and then in between, there's some weird shit. But I think it's a pretty well crafted movie. I like the style of it, the formula, like you were talking about. I think it's shot well. I think the cinematography is good in it. I think the suspense builds well. And yeah, it's one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies. What did I give the last one, Derek?
Let's see if I can find that.
Because that's going to determine what I give this one necessarily. Because I think, yeah, I'm just going to do it because there's some other ones we grade on the scale anyway, right? It doesn't, you know, not all 8s are the same, right? So I'm also going to give it an 8. Lydia, I agree. It's an 8 for me as well. It's you know, one of the most fun. One of my favorite of the franchise. The next two I like just as much, maybe even more. So can't wait to get into those. Jason Forever. Let's make a new one, guys. Come on. And that's Friday the 13th Part 2. So, guys, you know what time it is. It's time to Atkinize Friday the 13th Part 2.
Thrill me.
There's only a couple characters that Tom could play in this movie. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Who should Tom play in Friday the 13th Part 2?
I just like to imagine like a listener that's just coming in for the first time and just being like, Atkinize, what are they talking about? This isn't something that you are going to find on any other podcast.
No.
It's not something that people talk about. We came up with it. We love Tom Atkins. Look him up.
Especially after the fog that just changed our world. When it changed Lydia's world for sure. Once she rewatched The Fog and she realized the absolute sex appeal of one Thomas Atkins.
So he's gonna be with us in this podcast every step of the way. If it's confusing to you and you don't know who he is, go back and listen to our earlier episodes.
And I always drop the graphic of him here so you know who he is.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, just this is where we cast Tom Atkins in the movie that we just watched.
So
and
Lydia,
we cast him as everybody.
Yes. He can be any character ever.
Yes.
So who is Tom in this movie? Who would you cast him as?
I'm gonna cast him as Scott.
He was the creepy guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lydia.
Lydia, only if Lydia gets to play Terry.
Yeah, right. You're not catching me in that water. Hell
That's
no.
true. You're not getting in there.
Hell no.
Derek, who's Tom?
I am gonna go. I think he'd actually be a really good Paul. I think he'd be
He
a
would
really good
be.
Paul.
He would be a really, really good Paul.
He would be a good Paul. He'd be a better Paul, actually.
Yeah.
I changed my answer. I'm gonna say Paul too.
Unanimous Pauls, guys. Unanimous Paul across the board.
All right, Paul it is.
Yeah.
He could always be the crazy dude.
Well, he could also have been the
No.
sheriff, but he could.
But we always
fuck
make
that.
him the sheriff.
We always make him the sheriff. He would be an excellent Paul. It'd make this movie from an 8 to a 10,000. If he
Yes.
was-
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely think he fits Paul very well.
Good job, Derek. That's a good choice. We all are in agreement. So, Lydia, it is your turn to pick next week's movie. What are we watching next week?
Do you guys want to know?
We do.
Derek, are you ready?
I've been ready since yesterday.
He only gets it in a day in advance.
Just one day. All right. Our next movie is gonna be Puppet Master 3.
Oh! Hitting these sequels, guys. Hitting these sequels up. Puppet Master 3.
We gotta do it.
We gotta do it. We gotta go through all fucking 37 puppets. So, gotta hit it up. Yeah, Puppet Master 3 is available on the Full Moon streaming service, by the way. It's $5 and you get access to all Full Moon products and like some softcore porn, I think even.
So this is called Toulon's Revenge.
Toulon's Revenge, yes.
Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, which is what I thought the last one was called, but apparently not.
What was this?
I think they're all Toulon's Revenge.
What was the second one called? Toulon's Return or some shit? The Return of Toulon?
I'm really excited to watch this one, guys.
And it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting.
I don't know. I can't find it.
Yeah, it's all right. So that is next week's episode. What, Derek?
Never mind.
What were you thinking? What were you thinking?
I was like, I got those two mixed up because I was like, wait a minute. Was Toulon in the first? He was in the first one, but like, was he?
Yes.
I thought there was a doll guy, but that was the first one.
Yeah, the doll guy is in the second one.
No, that's the second one. That's the second one.
Doll guy
that
is second one.
Toulon.
Yeah. The first one, Toulon's the old man at the beginning. And then in the second one, he's brought back. Yeah. As the puppet man.
Yeah. I didn't mean the doll guy. I meant the guy who came back from the dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can move on.
Yeah, okay. So
it's late.
Can't wait to get into this, guys.
I'm approaching the 24-hour mark.
All right. So be sure to like, share, subscribe. Comment, guys. Comment on all the episodes, especially this one. Let us know if you want to hear Derek's brown underwear story. Let us know what you think about the ending of this. Is it a dream? Is it real? You can follow us online at Hyla Productions. You can find us on Instagram at Scream Bloody Movies. You can follow Derek on Twitter at DDoglyMaster. You can follow Lydia on Twitter at Lydia is Spooky. And you can follow me on Twitter at Racket. where I post show updates. I post a bunch of James Bond stuff because I'm doing the 31 Days of James Bond challenge currently. So each day you'll see my take on a James Bond subject, and comment with us and help the channel grow. Anything else, guys? I take their silence as no. It stinks.
I was wondering if you caught that.
Oh, I caught it. So, for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies. Good night, folks.